Recorded now. So let's make a formal introduction for our listeners. Good afternoon, uh, Jayney. Good morning to me. My name is Claudio. I'm calling you from Washington, D.C., from the studios in Fairfax City. We are very humble and grateful that Jayney Klimek accepted our invitation to our show. Uh, Jayney, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Claudia.
No problem. So, whatever thing that is going on in the world with the pandemic, how it is affecting you, your creativity, your life, your inability to tour, how you holding up with everything that's going on in the world, man?
Like everybody, holding up. It hasn't been the most creative time for me, but I've been sorting things and getting things done. It's what's the best way of saying things in progress, work in progress. There's a lot of sadness gone on around me as well, and you've got to live and get on with it. So the pandemic itself has been a great opportunity to really just pull back and reassess everything that, say for me, I'm speaking for myself, I want to do. But other than that, it's been actually quite a successful time in a lot of other ways as well. So it's strange. I'm happy to see the end of it.
Yeah.
There was a tour that I was actually for the other ones, which was my earlier band with the boys, my two brothers and three other Berliners. And that was in the process of organizing a festival. But of course, the pandemic, took that one out. And it's annoying, but it is what it is. We need to get on with it, right?
Yeah, it's in a way for me it was good to. I was going in my life 100 miles an hour, and it was good to stop and reassess what is important. It's now so many people dying here in the United States and crazy policies in the government. It was like a wake up call in many ways, and I have changed a lot since that too. I felt bad for the other people that die, and people that lost a job, that didn't have any way to make a living. And I began doing this radio. That's one of the reasons I put this way. And also because I was working from home from, I don't know, 7 months or 8 months, I was able to listen to a lot of my music.
Okay, great.
Because I'm buying a lot of stuff, and people all over the world send me stuff. So I was a good time for me to catch up with everything. And so it was, in many ways, it was good. Let's go back to the beginning. Were you born in a musical family? And when you started either, playing piano or taking singing lessons, when you develop music, and then you discover your singing abilities as well?
Well, I come from an opera. My mother was an opera singer, and my auntie and all my family sang or played. I'm half Italian, so you can imagine they sat outside. They're big Italian groups, and they're playing piano accordions, and 5 of them singing all their various different. One was a soprano, one was a mezzo, one was a baritone, one was a tenor.
Wow.
So we grew up with music all the time. Funny enough, I would sing, and then people point out that I had a voice, but it wasn't really my passion. I always wanted to be an actress. And so that was actually what I was studying when I was in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So when I actually got up and moved to Berlin, well, as you know, it was a visit at first, and it's turned into a 35-year visit.
Yeah.
I just joined the band, the other ones, and it just went on from there. But because of my classical training, which is what I was classically trained, and that's where I did my studies, I had a hard time changing my my method to, let's say, pop rock. So I just used that and put it into the other ones and did some really interesting voice acrobatics, so to speak, vocables. And then I just developed my own style in that way. But my brothers were all musicians. A lot of my cousins are musicians. You know, there was a really funky band called Tism in Australia. It's one of my cousins. Another one, Jet. The two boys in Jet are my cousins. So it's very natural for us, everything, whether it's singing or playing an instrument, and it's in my blood.
Yeah, I got you. But in your life, I read that you have the ability to do a little bit of, the music as per your life, and then acting a little bit on a part-time basis.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So you have done both, right? So which is right.
Yeah, it's also something I'd like to, acting is like what I'd like to pursue. Currently there's another project I did called You Pretty Thing with the guitarist from the other ones. And we wanted to start writing again. That's another project in basically in motion. With the pandemic, you couldn't meet up, you couldn't, and also it was just a really weird year. So that was delayed, but there's I don't know where I was going with that, but and then I just thought, that's right, because of the whole project's been one or the other being delayed in motion, I was planning on doing more towards my acting career, because there's a lot of international projects coming to Berlin and being filmed at Babelsberg. So that is something I'd like to continue.
Is it difficult or easier, or perhaps open roles, since you are already known musician, to get like another gig as an actor, or is it as difficult for everybody else?
I think it's the same difficult with, you just need to, I don't use the fact that I was this or that. I think, when you're being cast for a role, they actually need you to be the character they want. So I don't go in there with that thought. And I'm also not terribly desperate with, I really need this. Actually, the way I got the role with Hotel Rock and Roll was that, I said to them, I haven't had much experience, so you're really going to have to nurture me through this. And I almost was talking my way out of it, because I thought, God, this is going to be tough. And I got it anyway. So I was really quite happy about that. But and I loved it, and I really loved it. And that was another sign for me to say, yeah, I felt very comfortable in front of the camera. Which I feel very comfortable on stage. Of course, you're nervous, but I like that nervousness.
Yeah.
I feel far, far more comfortable live or in front of cameras than I do, let's say, in the studio. No, I can't say that. I mean, the studio is great too, but I prefer live, and I prefer confrontation.
You don't get nervous every time you walk into?
Of course I do, but I love the adrenaline. I mean, it feeds you. I get nervous when we were touring, for instance. I'm very nervous when I'm not nervous, because I think the adrenaline is missing, and you need that kick, you need that push to be on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Very good that you got, you with what you mentioned. Sometimes when you don't need something, you say, well, I don't need the acting job. I do well with my husband, my other stuff. And what the heck, you went for it and you got it, and you didn't need it. You were, sometimes that's the best way to be in,
Yeah,
in the position of.
Absolutely. I think it's very important in this time. Well, just, my development within myself is I'm not desperate to, I'll take it as it comes. And if it's meant to be, then I'll get it. So I have that sort of attitude now. Whereas before, I was always desperate to get this, desperate to get a new deal, desperate to have this, desperate to be always writing, desperate to be, so I'm just not. It's good place to be.
Absolutely. So was the other one your first kind of band after high school or so, or where you were in Australia?
No. We had a band called my three brothers and myself. We had a band called ABJJ Climax, which was we toured North Australia around Cairns, and we'd just do covers back then.
Gotcha, right.
And then we lived up there for about 8 months, and we were just gigging up there the whole time. And I have to say it was pretty bad, I think. So, the first time I went on stage, I just got so stage shocked. I couldn't even sing a word. So, I think when that happened once, I never allowed it to ever happen again.
I understand.
But that's okay. That wasn't filmed, so it's not on, no one can put that one against
It isn't on YouTube or something, everybody, the whole world. Social media can see it.
And then after about 8 months, we came back down and went our various ways. 2 boys went to Germany because Alf, my older brother, was in a band called Spliff Radio Show. And which was a brilliant project. And he came back to Berlin to pursue and further his career, and he brought my twin brother back. And I wanted to stay in Melbourne and continue my acting studies. So that's what we did. And then a year, I think it was 18 months later, when, as I said, I came to visit, and I just found myself in the studio singing, and I just didn't want to leave the boys again. I was just like, okay, no, this is what I'm doing. So, and then 8 months later, we got a deal with Virgin Records, which was, it's every band's dream come true. So,
of course, yeah, Virgin is well known. So, but you guys with the other guys, and feel free to elaborate in any of the question. You guys achieved very good success. I think it was a track called Holy. I believe that you guys became famous among the other tracks. Feel free to elaborate on how that Holy came together, and then how you went from getting the deal with Virgin and then touring after that. So.
Sure. Well, yes, I mean, Holiday was unfortunately Holiday was the only Holiday and We Are What We Are was the only track that actually achieved international success, but it did not represent the project, or it did not represent the whole album as what it was. It was just one of those playful tracks that was obviously melodically catchy enough where everyone, kept that tune in their head. But it's, you can say it's a one-hit wonder, but at least we've got a one-hit wonder internationally. That's okay. And it was a lot of touring. We had some great, we were on tour with Cutting Crew. That was great. But at that time, we had the offer, which is something that I really sincerely regret, to to go on tour with In Excess.
Wow.
Because we were with Cutting Crew, they were very upset about us leaving a sector of the tour. And I don't know what happened, but I really wanted to do the In Excess tour. In the end, somehow it didn't work out because we were probably under contract and what, all the details I don't remember. But that is one big major regret for me, not doing, probably the biggest.
Yeah, In Excess was, very well-known band at the time as well.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, the Australians too. So.
Yeah, plus it could have opened a lot of doors. And so it seems Australia, a director, very well-known guy, Peter Weir in Australia.
Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I know of him. Yeah,
he does a lot of very interesting movies too, for all the topics that we talked before. And
right.
another person, and of course I don't know him. I would love to interview him for the radio, but he's a very interesting stuff. And then so from the success with the other guys, you guys were still living in Germany. Were you touring just in Europe? You came to the United States, or
we toured in the United States, and we toured in all through Europe.
Yeah, wow.
It was actually, we didn't tour it was a hit in New Zealand as well. And Australia, they didn't end up releasing it. They actually called me in on one of my visits because I go home every year. Well, not in the pandemic, but and Virgin Sydney called me up and gave me an apology. And they said they really messed up with the release dates, which was all very big and very nice of them. But that was kind of a bit of an upset, because Australia, Melbourne being our hometown, is exactly where we wanted to have some sort of, success to show off, of course, but and that didn't work out. But yeah, but New Zealand it did, so that's kind of weird.
That's pretty good. And then have you end up work with Tony Banks? Of course, our listener know Tony Banks from his solo work, and then with Genesis from the last, I don't know, 35, 40 years now. And, feel free to elaborate how that came together and so on.
Well, we were both, I mean, Genesis were with Virgin and we were with Virgin. So Tony was looking for a singer for his solo bank statements, I think it was then, or
Bank Statement and Bank Statement
and Still. There's 2 albums I did with him.
Yeah,
and that's right. I think it was Steve Hillage was the producer of Bank Statement, and Steve we'd interviewed or met as a possible producer for the other ones. So there was a track that Steve just imagined with my very low voice. He just thought, oh, look, there's a girl called, Jayney Klimek, and we could possibly see if she's appropriate for the track. And I went in, I met Tony, and that worked, and that was really great. I mean, it was actually quite a buzz because I listened to early Genesis for years when I was younger. And, going in and actually, seeing everything in motion was pretty cool. So, and that's basically how that worked out. And then we liked working together. So he called me in for the second solo album, which was also very cool.
Yeah.
So I didn't live far. I was in Berlin. He's in London. So it was just a bit of a flight over.
Right. Yeah. He's Genesis, one of my top 3 bands in the world, right? With
sure. Yeah.
I so I admire these people. If I were to pick 3 bands, according to me, in the history of music are, well, obviously Genesis with Peter Gabriel or without Peter Gabriel, Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd are by far the best.
Right. Yeah.
According to my music takes, they have done very well. And Genesis is going to, the 3 of them are going to be touring in the fall. I don't know if I plan on seeing them. And
if they come to Berlin, yeah, definitely. I might just call up and probably go and see if I can meet up with them.
Yeah. Oh man, good for you, man.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that happens, but I'll check out and see.
Yeah, they're going to be touring. They're doing about October, toward the end of October, November, and December.
Right.
I'm doing like 20 gigs here here in this part of the country, and so I'm seeing them like 4 times.
Well, that'll be a blast for everyone. So that's great.
Of course, yeah. I'm looking forward to that shows, man. And that was a good man. And then what's the work after that? How you end up working as doing vocal arrangement with Tangerine Dream? How they came together? How do you interview for the job? How you got the gig?
Well, that was also Edgar saw me maybe live or on TV somewhere, and he had actually, funny enough, he'd actually sent through messages a couple of years prior to me working with him, a message through a friend saying, Edgar Flusy wants to meet you to perform live as a keyboard player. And my reaction is, but I'm not a keyboard player. So I just thought, well, he's kind of got that wrong, or I didn't follow anything up. But I'm not, I'm not suited for the job. So when I did meet up with him a couple of years later, he was a bit, why didn't you, react to my offer? And I went, but Edgar, I'm not a keyboard player. Yeah, but, we could have sorted something out. He saw me, that's it. He saw me playing on live. And of course I play strings and things, but I'm not, hello, these are synths, Tangerine Dream. I imagine this massive production of synths, using 4 hands at once. And I thought, God, I can't do that, So that's what that one was about. But and then we ended up working and writing and doing a couple of projects. And in the end, when I worked also together with Iris and Linda and Torsten, then it was, and Jerome in the beginning, then it was what's it called? God, Dante, the Dante project.
Yeah.
3 different.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I interviewed Thorsten Ray, I interviewed Iris.
Right.
Linda, I'm trying to get a hold of her, but she's kind of busy. And then Jerome, Edgar's son, I sent messages and he has no reply. So I would love to interview. I have interviewed like 6 people from Tangerine Dream already. 6.
Right. Okay.
A lot of people in Germany, and I think at what time, of course, Berlin being the capital of electronic music in the world, but I think at times they have a studio on the border with Austria, I think, and then they end up.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
people from Austria end up joining the band. That was clarified to me. I didn't know why there are so many Austrian people, and he live in Berlin, and that's what I found out that.
Well, he had an apartment in Berlin and one out in just outside Vienna.
Yeah, Vienna, yeah.
It's a fabulous place, and that's where we'd go and record. We'd record sometimes in Berlin, but mostly we'd all hang out in the studios there, which was just a really big place. One side was a studio and the other side were, rooms where we could all stay, and then hang out rooms. So it was great, really nice.
Yeah. I wonder what the future for Tangerine Dream is going to be. I don't know if they will keep it alive for that many years. And
well, I mean, Torsten seems to be doing a very good job, and Edgar's wife, Bianca, I mean, they're going on with it all. Yeah. They've got the guitarist and the violin player, and occasionally meet up with Torsten. Every now and again we see him. We got a mutual friend where we always end up seeing each other, and but it seems quite strong, and it seems like it's moving on. So
yeah, that's a favorite. 3 days ago I interviewed one of the current members, Ulrich Schnauz. Right. He's in London now, and very good people. So I love the music.
Very cool.
Very good stuff. So I'm glad you work at so many great musicians who play in Tangerine Dream. And remember at the time living in South America, I thought, man, if I can see Tangerine Dream once or Jean-Luc Ponty in France, I will be happy. Now I have seen them so many times, and that I don't know. I have seen over 1,000 shows in my life. So have been good. Yeah. Music is my thing, man. I try to see like 30 gigs a year, and there are too many bands that they don't come to the United States, right? Like Hubert Phonic, High as a Kite, Simple Red, Simple Mind. So I'm desperate try to go back to Europe to see some bands,
Yeah, well, soon.
So we'll
sure, it's going to happen soon.
You speak in German? You speak German? No.
Yes. Yeah.
You learn there in
Yes.
Yeah, well, good for you, man.
Yeah, well, it's, when I first got to Berlin, it was everyone spoke English. We had the wall around us back around then, I got here at the end of 84, 85. And then, of course, once the wall came down, then Germany was united, and they learnt Russian, so no one could speak English then, except for let's say the Westerners, which are all now, I don't know what politically correct is anymore, so it was a lot easier when I first arrived just to speak English, but then one needed to learn it, and I did.
Yeah, gotcha. Good for you, man. So then
I'm learning Spanish now because we have a place in Spain and on the Canary Islands, and so that's also.
What is Ibiza? No, where? No.
On Canary Island, it's actually on the main island.
I got you. Good for you.
My brother's owns he's married also Canary, and my sister-in-law's from the island. And he set up his studio. He actually left Los Angeles. Jayney Klimek left Los Angeles, and he's set up his studios on Gran Canaria.
Wow, good for you, man.
That's cool. So we hang out there.
I got you. Good for you, man. Yeah. So some of the people I interview have German people, and they have second home Ibiza as well. They really like this stuff. Never been in that part of the world, but I heard it's very beautiful. So.
Yeah, that's another one that I want to check out. You said Island, right?
Ibiza. It's another big island.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said something else. You're going to have to come over and visit, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's very nice. And so feel free to elaborate on all the track that you co-wrote for Terra Nova track, Digital Tendencies, and I listened to stuff on last night on Spotify, and I really like a track called I think it's Grounded, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That was a very upbeat track.
Yeah, it's cool.
Feel free to elaborate how the composition came together, and then how you co-wrote also the track.
Right. Yeah. Well, I literally wrote all the vocals except for Xaver von Trier, which, well, how that happened is I guess Fetish, Terra Nova needed to whip something together quickly. So Xaver and I sat together in about 2.5 weeks, we put that whole album together pretty much. And so I wrote 98% of the lyrics. And Xaver did a lot of the production, and then there was a guy in there called Shape Mod. He came in and shaped it a bit more. Of course, Fetish, he's more a producer. He doesn't really write, or I guess he does, but not in this project. And he was just, piecing it together, and that was pretty much put together in weeks. It was a very quick production, but it was good. I actually really enjoy a lot of that, a lot of what came out of that. And it just goes to show when you're just really focused and you've got the short amount of time to achieve things, what you can actually really achieve. So, Digital Tenderness, it's called.
Very, very. You guys achieved success with that album, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Terra Nova is, is a name in itself. But I mean, I don't know what's success. It was licensed quite a lot. Various different tracks were licensed from it. Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Got you. Yeah, feel free to. The other thing I like is in I think in 2005, if I remember correctly, was another band called You Pretty Thing with Andreas Brzezinski.
Yep.
And everybody knows the single thing called, I think, Push It, right? Mm-hmm. Who became the world #1 in many radio stations in Europe, and some success in South America, in here in the United States as well. So.
Oh, really? I didn't know it was.
Oh yeah. You can given like a track. There's some website you can see how it did in every country, in every continent.
Oh wow. God, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, some of them make some songs of yours. Yeah, cool. Some of them, depending on the country in Europe, make the top 40s or top 70 or 37, whatever. Still,
very cool.
Being the top 100 is very.
Yeah.
At the time, radio station would play your stuff. Right?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's great to hear. I just thought it was actually really big in Germany, or even mainly Berlin. I mean, it's still always played on the radio. Yeah. Especially in summer. But that was great. It was a really cool track too. We had a lot of fun doing that one. And doing the album actually. And we've had a long break now, and we're actually discussing going back in, and I'm just not sure in which direction I want to take this yet. So I need to think in what. Yeah, I'm still working, work in progress, and I'm still thinking about which way to go down here. And I said to Blackie, I think I'd rather just like guitars and voice and a very simple production, not too busy and complicated is what we like to do sometimes. You sit there and then you rip things apart and you redo it and then you rip it apart and then I just find with the experience is the things that go down quickly and which are uncomplicated are always the best. And we listened to, we did a lot of tracks and we listened to some of them a few years after we completed them. And these were things just put aside that we never actually released, which I have released since. But And, you know,